Today we're testing out the flat face forward set Apex tactical trigger for the M&P 2.0. See how it goes. Man, that's a really nice trigger. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. This week we are starting a build series on my M&P 2.0. So we're going to be taking this very basic stock M&P 2.0, which is my favorite striker fired pistol, and we're going to be building it out and turning it into a very custom high-end M&P. So I always wanted to do kind of like a Gucci Glock build, but I figured I've had this M&P for about a year now, and I love that pistol, so why not do the build with something that I already know and love? So this week is going to be part one of the build series, and part one is the trigger upgrade, and we put in the trigger for the M&P 2.0, which is the Apex Tactical Forward Set Flat-Faced Trigger Kit. It's a whole kit. So before we get into that, like I say every week, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Please like this video if you do like this content. Share it with your friends, and leave me a comment afterward. I'm going to ask you guys your opinions on a few things, so that as I go forward with this build series, I would like some feedback and input. It'll help me to decide what exactly I want to do with it. I've already got a pretty good idea, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Hopefully this wind doesn't mess up the audio for you guys too bad, but 115 grain 9mm Apex Tactical Flatty M&P 2.0. So this is a 4 1/4 inch full size Smith Wesson M&P 2.0 pistol. It's a polymer frame, striker fired 9mm, 17 round capacity, and it is my favorite striker fired pistol that I own, but also it's my favorite striker fired pistol that I have experience with. So I thought that this would be a great platform for upgrading customization. You know, people love to customize Glocks, make them, Gucci Glocks, really cool customized guns. But M&Ps are probably the next most customizable pistol out there. I've had a lot of fun upgrading and customizing my AR-15s, and it makes them into a more usable firearm. Plus, it's just fun. It lets you get to know your gun really well, inside and out, and it's just fun to come out with something that's exactly what you want. I've had this for about a year, and I hadn't done anything to it yet, except for put a light on it. There's kind of a cheaper light I got. It's a local Idaho company, so I wanted to try it out, and it's worked just fine. But that's also one of the things I am going to upgrade it on here. This video today, though, specifically is about the trigger here. This is the Apex Tactical Flat Face Forward Set Trigger, and it's a whole kit. It comes with, a bunch of different trigger springs, trigger return springs. So it comes with the different springs for your striker block as well, and a few other things. It comes with this, you use this to put your sight back on. It'll cover up that striker block while you're moving your sight over. It comes with the striker block itself, as well as the sear. This is my factory striker block and sear. So let me see if I can show that to you guys. So this is the new Apex Tactical striker block. And it is rounded a lot more. It's also polished. And so, if you see here on your trigger bar, this right here, that engages with that striker block. So having a polished, more rounded striker block makes for a much smoother trigger pull. When I first got this pistol, that initial take-up was very gritty. Now that smoothed out a bit over time, for sure, but it still wasn't fantastic. So this is where some of that magic happens, is with the Apex Tactical Striker Block. Besides that, you could change out that trigger spring in there if you'd like. I use the factory one because that's what gives you the lightest trigger pull. You also change out your sear here and the sear engagement lever, I guess you would call it, right there. And so here you can see where I've got that sear and the engagement lever. These are my original factory ones. So when you change all that stuff out there, so that makes for a really incredible trigger. Now the trigger pull on this, the take-up is super smooth now. And it's got a like a Glock style blade there now instead of this hinge trigger safety. And it's a flat face trigger, which I really enjoy. I put a flat face trigger on this AR and I just love it. It just feels really good. So anyway, you've got the little blade, flat face trigger, very short, smooth take up. You hit a defined wall, but it's extremely light. And you see how short that break is? And then watch the reset. And the break is literally right there at the reset. Audible, tactile, and there's the break. It's an incredible trigger. And it really is a game changer for your M&P 2.0. You know, I feel like this is a very good pistol, and I've been extremely happy with it. But the only thing I felt like that could have really been upgraded was that trigger. Now, I'm going to upgrade a bunch of other stuff too, because I'm going to do a whole build series on this for you guys, for the channel, but also because I really want to have a really, really nice pistol. And this is my favorite pistol that I have. I love my 1911, don't get me wrong. But as far as a modern striker-fired pistol, I love this M&P 2.0. And the great thing about this Apex Tactical trigger, it keeps all of your safeties intact. So, you know, it's still drop safe, all of that stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that. It just makes your trigger so much smoother, so much shorter of a take-up, such a light, crisp break, very short reset. It's just clean, it feels good, it makes it much easier to be accurate with it, because if you're shooting off the reset, if you're paying attention to what you're doing, you know, you shoot around, it resets so short and you pull right through the next round. Excuse me. It's almost hard to explain what a difference it makes, but it's huge. I find it is absolutely worth the money. And especially now, the money is a little less than it used to have to be. So the original M&P 2.0 Apex Tactical Trigger Kit was about 160 bucks. Well, that was with an aluminum trigger shoe. Well, they came out with this one just recently. It's got a polymer trigger shoe, but other than that, it's the exact same kit. It has all the same parts. It's just a polymer trigger shoe, and it's about 60 bucks less. I got this for $99.99. It shipped, it got here in like 2 or 3 days, and I installed it. And the installation was more difficult than an AR-15 trigger, for sure. But if you're pretty handy, if you understand how guns work and you're willing to try it, you can do it yourself. I promise you. I did. It took a lot of time. You have to pull the whole slide apart and all the parts in there. Well, not all the parts, but you have to drift your sight out to be able to get to that striker block. Change that out, put your sight back. And then as far as with your frame, all 3 of the pins have to come out, and basically everything comes out of your frame, including the fire control unit. I think whatever they call that there, but the whole, all the internals come out. And you have to push pins out of those, change out springs, pins, all that. And then you've got a slave pin here that you use to put it back together. Now, I made a big mistake when I did mine. And when I put it back together, I forgot about my takedown lever. So I got the whole gun back together and my takedown lever was sitting on my workbench. So I had to take it all back apart again and put it back together with the takedown lever in there. But in doing so, the slave pin came out, and that's what holds everything together. And then you push your actual pin through that and push the slave pin out. So I went through a little bit more difficulty than you need to. As long as you remember all the steps, you should be able to do it just fine. Apex Tactical does not come with any instructions, but I found a video on YouTube that showed me exactly what to do, and it was really easy. They do give you this, which shows that with different combinations of springs, what your trigger pull weight will be. And I went for the lightest pull weight that I could. So with my M&P 2.0, I just installed the Apex forward set flat face trigger. Now this is supposed to be about the best upgrade you can make to an M&P, so let's see how it goes. Oh man, that really makes a difference. It's like a new gun. I really enjoy a light trigger. I got a 3.5 pound trigger in this, but I'm sure it actually pulls at less than 3.5 pounds. With the different springs that I put in my Echo trigger here, I bet this is a 1.5 or a 2 pound trigger. And from what I've seen, I don't have like a Lyman trigger pull gauge or anything, but from what I've seen, this pulls at about 3 pounds from other people's videos and stuff where they've used a trigger pull gauge. And it feels even lighter than that. When I first installed it, I pulled straight through and I was like, oh my God, like it almost surprises you. You can't even, I was like, I couldn't tell that there was even going to be a break there. It just broke that easily. With some shooting and with some dry fire practice, it is actually very obvious where the wall is. But man, it is light to pull through that. Reset, break. It's an incredible trigger. I highly recommend it. Anybody that has an M&P 2.0 pistol, get the Apex Tactical Trigger Kit. It's a game changer. It really is. And there's not many things that I feel like that strongly about that make that big of a difference, but it really does. It makes it much easier to fire your pistol more accurately, more quickly. It's incredible. So I felt like for this build series and just for myself personally, the Apex Tactical flat face trigger was an easy choice for the first step to do. Now, as far as where we go from here, I am going to get a better light for this. I'm either going to get a Streamlight TLR1 HL or the Olight Valkyrie, the new one, PL Pro I think it is. So if you guys could, if you have any experience with either of those, let me know which one you like better. They're both fairly similar in features and in price. I kind of like some of the features of the Olight a little bit better. It's, rechargeable, just like the Olight I've got on my AR rifle here. And I've been very happy with that Olight. It also seems like it has a little bit better buttons here. Surefire X300 was one that I was thinking about getting, but It seems like it's just a little bit harder to actuate. My cousin had one, I tried it out. And I was surprised how difficult it was to actually actuate the buttons on it. So I'm thinking of either the Streamlight or the Olight. Please let me know what you guys think, but that's probably gonna be the last step. And when I do that, this light will go on my Ruger here. Before that, I'm gonna get an optic and I'm gonna get my slide milled out for it. So I would also love your opinions on that. There's a lot of options there. The RMR Trijicon, I know it's like the best. It's extremely expensive though. And also, it's got a couple things about it that I'm not really excited about. For one, you have to take the optic off to change the battery and then re-zero it every single time. And if you Loctite those screws down, it's just something I really don't want to deal with. So what I'm thinking about going with is a Holosun. Holosun makes fantastic pistol red dots. And they have a battery tray that comes out the side, so you don't have to remove your optic in order to change the batteries. They also have the Shake Awake technology, which to me is huge. I've got that on my Sig Romeo 5s that I have on my ARs. And I just love to think, you know, that I'm not going to have to turn my optic on and off. That I can grab it and that red dot is on. And it's got like a 50,000 hour battery life. And from every bit of research that I've done, people say that the Holosuns are just fantastic. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is this. So, the 407K is what I'm leaning towards. And I know that that's a smaller offering from Holosun, geared more toward, you know, concealed carry size pistols. But the thing about it is, with the 407K, I can get it milled out and leave my rear sight dovetail in. And it's low profile enough that I could still co-witness my factory sights with the 407K. And I like these factory sights. They're very good sights. In fact, of all my pistols, I think they're probably the best sights I've got. They're not night sights like I've got on the Ruger, but they're very, very usable. It's a really good sight picture, really easy to pick up. I feel like I shoot very well with these iron sights. So I'd like to keep them. And, you know, that's also a cost savings thing. Instead of having to put some lower 1/3 co-witness or some suppressor height sights on here, I wouldn't have to with the 407 or the 507K. So I'm really, really leaning toward that optic. Also, it's a little bit cheaper. You can get that for like $225 right now. But the other one I'm thinking of is the 407 or the 507C, which is the bigger optic for a full-size gun. That probably makes more sense for the full-size M&P 2.0 I've got here. But I would just love it if any of you guys have experience with either one of those. Let me know what you think. Because I think if the K will work well in here and I can keep my factory sights, I think that's something I'd like to do. This gun doesn't recoil that much, so I don't feel like I'm going to lose that dot in the window, even under, you know, recoil. So I really am leaning towards the K. But I'd like to know what other people think that have experience with that, because I don't really yet. The other thing I would love to hear from you guys is when I get my slide milled for that optic, you have to get it cerakoted, or at least finished in some way. Otherwise, you're going to have raw metal in here, and that can, you know, rust and stuff. So I don't want that. Now, I could just get it, you know, black, like the factory, and I'm sure that would look fine. But I feel like if I'm customizing my pistol anyway, I might as well pick a different Cerakote color for the slide. I'm leaning towards burnt bronze, possibly, or midnight bronze. The other one was, what was it? I can't remember right now, but there's a lot of Cerakote colors out there. I don't want something too flashy. I don't want it to look like a high schooler's tricked out Honda Civic, but I would like it to be something that looks custom, that looks, you know, just that looks cool. So if you guys, I'm colorblind. Let me know what you guys think is a good Cerakote color to do my slide. because that's the next step, is to get this slide sent off and to get it milled for the red dot. So I need to pick a red dot, because if I go with the 507C, that's an RMR cut. If I go with the 407 or the 507K, that is a different optic cut. Now, if I do go with the C, they're going to mill right through my rear sight, and I'm either going to have to put a Glock style dovetail behind it or in front of it, which I could do. But, all of this, making these videos, buying the new guns, the ammunition for them, the time, it's already very, very expensive. And so if I could do this without spending all that extra money, and I could co-witness my factory sights with my optic, I think that would be a really good choice. So unless somebody tells me that they think that that's a terrible idea, I do feel like I'm going to end up going with the Holosun 407K. But again, like I said, I am colorblind, so if anyone wants to help me out with the cerokote color, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, though, this video, all about this trigger, and I am a big fan. This trigger is amazing. And if you own an M&P 2.0, I highly recommend getting the Apex Tactical flat face trigger. It really does make this pistol more shootable, more accurate, and more fast. It's a fantastic trigger. M&P 2.0 Apex trigger. Oh man, that is sweet. So we've gone over the Apex Tactical trigger upgrade here. That's what this video is mainly about, but I also kind of lined out my plans as far as the build series for this M&P 2.0. I want to customize this pistol out and just make it really cool, but also just a more effective pistol. And so I would really love you guys' opinions. Anything you could tell me about the Holosun optic specifically, unless there's another optic that you think is a better choice. But that seems to be where my head is going right now. It's either the 407K or the 407C. I'm not really all that interested in having, different reticles to pick from. The dot works fine for me. That's why I'm thinking 407 versus 507. The K is just a smaller one, which I can keep my factory sights if I go that route. So please let me know what your experience with those optics is. Let me know what you think about the Apex Tactical trigger if you have it. Or if you have the factory trigger, which is not bad at all, don't get me wrong. Tell me why you think that you wouldn't want to upgrade it. Although I got to admit, after doing it, I think everyone should. And then again, I am colorblind. Let me know what you think is the best cerokote color to do my slide. That will definitely help me make a decision on that. So from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped. Until next week, thanks.